Hello, stupid.
Hello. Hi, Sonia.
Hey, how are you?
Good. When that 3, 2, 1 of the recording thing starts, and then we start recording, I don't know why I get super anxious all of a sudden. I was like, how am I going to start this?
Same, and I want to break it immediately and be like, no, let's do it again.
Yeah. All right. Ready for take two now?
Remember that
How
one
are
time
you?
we had to do 3 takes?
Oh my God. Yes. Just because in the last take everything went well, but I forgot that I was supposed to listen to you. Remember that?
I don't remember that one. No, it was the one that my lip kept bleeding.
Oh yeah, that same episode. It was the pigeon episode, I think. At some point, like you were explaining something, then something messed up. It didn't work, so we tried again, and then I just like forgot to respond to what you were saying. We even posted a story
That's,
about that one.
yeah, exactly. That was sad. Um, Everyone saw my heart break a little
Yeah.
bit while I'm talking to you.
Oy, but today I don't have to listen to you because you have to listen to me.
Yay!
Yeah. How are you? What's up?
Good, good. The weather's getting nice and warm here. I'm getting excited for summer.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
everyone who doesn't live somewhere where there's winter and seasons, they must be so bored of us talking about weather all the time. And we start our episodes always about that, but like you guys don't understand how exciting it is that we are at the end of winter. Like,
Wait, I'm also dying. Where would people live where they don't have seasons?
well, more towards like the equator. Like they have seasons, but they don't have like cold winter and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
okay,
And
true. There's
it's
a
not
it
as
doesn't
drastic
like
as season. It's more like rain season and like dry
Okay,
season.
yeah.
Even
I
like in
agree.
LA, I don't think people can relate to
Well, actually it's cold
how
in LA right now, I think.
no, it's not cold. It's like 15
Cool.
degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's a nice breeze.
Yeah. But I do think like the weather dominates like I want to say most people's like yeah, like I guess most people don't have as drastic weather as we do in Canada. Or sorry, most people do, but not everyone does. And I feel like it just like controls me so much. Like if it's sunny out, I have to change my plans for the day, like and like get outside.
Yeah. I was talking to Justin yesterday and I was like, I feel better. I'm like in a better mood today. Like I'm not sure what's happening. He's just like, it's nice outside. I'm like, yeah, I think that's what it is. We're basically like plants.
We are.
Give us water and sun and we'll feel much better.
I totally agree. I think the weather affects me so much. I think like if I even like if I'm like not warm enough, like my internal temperature, body temperature isn't warm enough, I just like don't function as well as a human. You know? It's so weird.
Okay. When we trained together, we were stuck in this really stuffy glass room that was so hot. And Sanya was always cold and always bringing the temperature up, anyways. I was drenched the whole time we were training together. Like standing in front of a class, completely soaked in sweat. So inappropriate, but like there's nothing I could do about it because you were always cold.
Yeah.
You would come in
No,
with your scarf, like it's 25 degrees in the classroom.
we couldn't even control the temperature in that room,
No,
remember?
we couldn't. It's
It
true. Yeah,
was
you're right.
so wild. No, that room was really warm, but I'm just like my default is cold, so I'd start off cold and then throughout the day start like thawing out.
Yeah.
It was gross. Oh man, yeah. Thinking about that time when we taught in that room always makes me like sweat a little.
Plus, I had this thing where no matter the temperature, no matter how I'm dressed, I would start my day drenched for the first half hour just because nerves. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyways, I hope you're more entertained, everyone. We're not talking about weather, we're talking about sweat now.
Body temperature.
Um,
Um
Also, I poured myself a drink and it's like ice cubes and a metal straw, so I don't think I'll be able to use a straw because it's too clinky.
Mhm.
That's a little SMR for everyone, though. Listen to that. I'll have
That
to get
actually
rid of the
sounds good.
straw.
I'm also having iced water. Ooh,
It's not ice
twinning.
water. It's
Oh,
gin
sorry.
and ginger.
Oh, you're drinking. Good for you.
Thank you.
Gin
Cheers to
and
you.
ginger at 5 p.m. Happy hour.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
2 p.m. because it's 2 p.m. for me, and then I realized no, it's later for you. Your normal hour to drink.
I know you were trying to shame me, and then turns
I
out
was really
I'm
trying.
in the right. So,
How has your week been? I talked about my happiness with the weather. How have you been?
oh, terrible. It's been a really bad week. I've been forced to wake up really early for work this week, and like I can do it, and my body quickly gets used to it now. Like I wake up naturally early,
Hmm.
but I hate it, and I am grumpy all day if I'm forced to wake early for work. If I'm on the day off and I wake up early, I love it because it's like, wow, it's 9 a.m. and I have already so much done.
Hmm. Were you also sleeping early or no?
Yeah, I was trying to get my 8 hours in.
Okay.
I just don't like talking to people in the morning.
Yeah. And it's also just weird to get up when the sun's not out.
Oh, yeah, horrible.
I hate that. That makes a huge difference for me. Like, I don't mind waking up at 7 a.m. if it's sunny out, but if it's
You're right.
still
Yeah,
dark,
yeah,
it just makes it all so weird.
yeah. Yeah, so, but it's better now. I have a few days off, so.
Actually, that reminds me. This morning, I woke up and Avril was home, and I was like, "Aren't you late for work?" Like, and he's like, "No," and I was like, "The sun's out," and he's like, "Yeah, this is 6 a.m." and I was like, "Oh." I'm like also getting used to the daylight saving portion
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. I know it's best. So when the sun's out, and also like when it's 9 p.m. and there's still sun in the summer. Amazing.
I love that.
Yeah. Anyways, do you have a little icebreaker for us today?
I do. I kind of guess this kind of goes with what we're kind of talking about a little bit right now.
How you
Uh,
have no idea what we're going to talk about?
no, like the conversation we've already had.
Oh, okay, okay.
You're like,
What's your
how do you
favorite
know?
season?
Well, it's talking about how, like you said, you've been kind of not so great this week.
Okay.
What music makes you happy?
Oh, hmm. Um, there's a lot. Pretty much as soon as it's upbeat, but like especially like some girl pop. Um, I think Lizzo makes me very happy.
Okay.
Some Lizzo makes me very happy.
I never really listened to Lizzo other than like her like very common like songs that are on the radio, like Truth Hurts and
Mm.
stuff. But you really got me into Phone. Is that the song?
Oh
Say,
yeah, where
where
the
the
hell
hell
my
my
phone?
phone?
Oh
Where the
yeah,
hell's
that's a
my
really good one.
phone?
It's so fun. Um, what's the other one? Are you ready? Da, da, da. I just don't know if that's
Lizzo
the
song?
title. Some more ASMR with my very clicky keyboard. To Be Love by Lizzo.
Okay,
Also,
yeah.
that's a really good one.
I'm happy you said girl pop. I just got into Sabrina Carpenter. Have you heard of?
Oh yeah, she's really good. Yeah,
Okay, I never heard of any of her music till a song of her like popped up. And yesterday I've just been obsessed with the song Nonsense by her.
I
It's
don't know if
really
I know that
good.
one.
I want you to
Okay.
listen to it after. I would try and sing it for you, but I feel like people are just going to tune out at this point with our ASMR and my singing.
Oh,
Um,
you know who's a really good like that makes me happy because her lyrics are like usually funny and like a little bit like to let off some steam. Runny Rap.
yeah.
Yeah, I like her too.
You sent me that one song of hers. Is it Talk Too Much, I think?
Something like that. Yeah,
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 no,
something
I
like that.
really like her.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sabrina Carpenter's kind of giving me like Ariana Grande vibes too, who I
hmm.
like. Yeah, and yesterday I was just listening to some music that made me really happy on my drive home.
Oh, I don't know why I'm super shy to send you music. I love sending people music and stuff like that, but with you, I'm always shy to send you music because I'm like, oh, she's gonna like try to read into it, like how's my mood and stuff like that. She's gonna think I'm sending her a message through the lyrics.
That's so funny.
Plus, like, we don't really listen to music together, so I don't really know what your music style is.
Yeah, we don't actually, but like I feel like it goes like because I remember like last summer when I was over and we were like getting ready, you'd put on music and I like your music. It's like
Hmm.
good, upbeat, anything I can kind of dance to.
Yeah.
I haven't really been into sad music for a while. I know I was a lot. I love sad music growing up as like a teenager.
Hmm.
I just like dance music. Um, I also like am really into music where they like kind of speak French or Creole,
Oh
like
yeah.
Afrobeats almost.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
Oh, you know what's some really fun music if you want to feel happy?
yeah.
Um, like Disney musicals,
Okay.
like the Bonjour, Bonjour, like the La Belle et la Bête, the Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a fun
Uh,
one, like in the morning. Like,
Ooh, okay. Yeah, like
yeah.
for me, Disney like music I'm not always into, but like there's some musicals I love. Like La La Land soundtrack, I'm obsessed with.
Oh yeah. The
Um,
Hairspray soundtrack is so good. Have you watched
okay.
Hairspray?
I've watched Hairspray. It's been a while though.
Yeah.
Um, but I also I like lately like when I drive a lot, I rather listen to podcasts than music.
Mm,
So I'm like I flow in and out, and anything like early 2000s I'm into.
yeah. I feel like I have a very wide variety of genre I listen to because I think I self-regulate a lot with music. When I'm like too hyper, I'll like bring myself down with some more like introspective sad music. And when I'm too sad, I'm breaking myself up with the some very upbeat, ridiculous, peppy music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the saddest music I do now is like Halsey, like
Mm,
her I think it's Badlands album.
mm.
Other than
Do you
that, I
like
can't get sadder than that.
Charlotte Cardin?
Yes. Yeah.
She's good, some good sad music.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't listened to too much of her sad music. I like confetti and stuff, like her more
Confetti's pretty
upbeat stuff.
sad.
Is
Like it's
it?
an upbeat beat, but it's a sad song.
True. Yeah. I like that's the kind of sad music I like. Avril
Right?
loves
Yeah, yeah,
confetti.
yeah.
I think I played it for him once, and now he'll always be like, "Play that song with the confetti." And I'll play it for him.
Cool.
Well, that's a good
I feel like
turn.
we've covered it.
Yeah. Why don't you get us into what you have for us this week?
All right, get ready. It's a wild ride. Um, was not at all was it what I was expecting to get into this week. I just like started some research and I was looking through some stuff. Um, so I came across this BuzzFeed article as first, and it's like a listicle called like 19 wild, shocking, and unbelievable CIA documents that has been declassified. And like CIA, like will sometimes like declassify some documents after like many years when like it's no longer relevant or like the people involved cannot be held responsible anymore, just
Mhm.
for like the sake of like transparency, I guess. And there's some really wild stuff out there. So at first I was like, oh, I'll do an episode on like many different cases in that listicle, right? And there's some stuff like completely ridiculous. Like this one CIA operative like drew up the plan to airdrop some extra large condoms over the USSR during the Cold War. But
Wait, literal airdrop, not like iPhone airdrop.
no, no, literal drop from the airs by plane, extra large condoms, but write small on them
Oh my
to
god.
like mess with them and demoralize them to
Oh,
make them feel like they have a small penis.
that's so funny. That's such a good
I'm like,
prank.
right? But like that was a whole CIA plan to like demoralize the enemy.
That's so funny.
This other wild one was made like after 9/11. They they had made and wanted to distribute figurines of Osama bin Laden, like toy figurines of Osama bin Laden. But the catch was that if you left them in the sun for too long, the face melted off and it was like a demon face underneath.
Oh my god.
And they wanted to distribute them to kids all over like South Asia to like make people scared of Osama bin Laden because the toy becomes a demon.
That's insane. Who
Isn't
came
it
up with that,
crazy?
Hasbro?
I think it was actually Mattel.
Makers of Barbie.
So I wanted to like look deeper into all of these because there's a bunch of them. But then I came across this one that deserved an entire episode
Ooh, I'm
and a very deeper
excited.
dive. Have you ever heard of the gateway reports?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. Have you ever heard of remote viewing?
I'm trying to think.
How
No.
how about astral projection?
Ooh, I have.
So the gateway report and the gateway uh, process has to do a lot with that. And it's a uh, CIA document that has been declassified in 2003. So we're going to dive into that. But first, let's do talk a little bit about astral projection and remote viewing. What do you know about astral projection?
Ooh, so okay, I don't know if this is even right now that I'm thinking about it, but astral projection is when they like project something, like a holograph. Is that what it is?
Maybe. Tell me more.
I'm thinking like when they projected Tupac in
Oh, no, no,
Coachella
no, no,
years
no. You're
ago. No,
wrong.
no,
You're
no.
wrong. You're
Okay, I don't know if I'm right then.
wrong.
That's like a
um,
holograph, right?
when like they dance with Michael Jackson after his death on stage.
Yeah,
No,
that's not
no,
astral
that's a
projection,
holograph.
is it?
No, no,
Astral
no.
projection. I'm trying to think like into space.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, it's because you don't realize how wild this is that the CIA looked into this yet.
Okay, yeah, I don't then.
Astral projection is when you have like a out of body experience and you project your consciousness and travel with your consciousness while you meditate, kind of thing.
Okay, yes, yes, yeah, I've heard of that, but like I don't know anything about it.
Okay,
But like yeah, I've heard of
so
like yogis and like
yeah,
people saying
mhm.
that they can astral project. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, exactly. So it's a term used in esotericism to describe intentional out of body experience.
Hmm.
Um, it assumes the existence of a astral body or a body of light, or like a soul or whatever, depending in which context you talk about it, right?
Hmm.
And it's like a projection of your consciousness outside of your body. So your consciousness functions separately from this physical body and can travel through the astral planes. Now, the astral plane is like there's like two kind of schools of view on it. Like it's the world of the celestial sphere crossed by souls into an astral body on the way to being born and after death. So it's like some people think it's just the place where everything exists outside of life and death
Hmm.
kind of thing, and then you cross in and out of that when you're born and when you die.
Wow.
um, and it's believed to be populated by beings like angels and spirits and immortal beings and stuff like that, and like gods and stuff, right?
Hmm.
Another view holds that the astral plane or the astral world is just some it's not a boundary or anything. It's more like the entirety of existence, including our world, but beyond our world. Kind of like, so all the spirits around us and us, we live in the same thing, but like it's beyond those boundaries, kind of thing. So, what is it here? It says boundaries crossed by this. Or spirit worlds to which those who die on Earth go and they live out their non-physical lives. It's understood that all consciousness resides in the astral plane. So all consciousness in the world resides there, including your own.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. So the idea of astral travel is very ancient and comes across. You can come across come across the concept in multiple in a lot of different cultures. So ancient Egypts, they were teaching uh, that the soul, the ba, as having the ability to hover outside of the physical body via the ka, or the subtle body. So the soul was able to hover outside of the physical body.
Wow.
In some Inuit groups, some individuals with special capabilities, known as the Angakuk, are said to be able to travel to remote places and different plane of existence altogether and report back their experiences with important matters to the community. Um, there's similar ideas in Hindu with Langasarira, which in scriptures um, said that, yeah, some people were able to travel outside of the body also. And
Wow.
it's still in practice, I believe, today in Hinduism.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never
Um,
really I've never heard any stories firsthand as a Hindu, but
yeah. It was kind of hard to find exactly what it meant, because there was a lot of like the name of the scriptures and the texts in like Hindu. Like I was like, okay, I don't know like what we're talking about anymore.
mhm.
But but like you said earlier, like the first example that came to mind, like, oh, the yogi will meditate and like be able to like project himself and stuff like that. Right? It's a form of like transcendental meditation.
Yeah, I feel like they showed a lot in movies and stuff like that too, where
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, you like project yourself in a different realm or something
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah. Well, especially the whole concept of the astral plane is very often linked with reincarnation.
Mm,
It's where you go and await your next life,
that's crazy.
right? And then in Japanese mythology, also, they have this one's fun. And Ikiryo is a manifestation of the soul of a living person separated by their body. Normally, it's someone who hold sufficient grudge against another person that it's believed that a part of their soul or the entire soul can temporarily leave their body and appear before the target of their hate in order to curse them or harm them.
That's insane.
Right?
Imagine you could do that.
Yeah.
Imagine you get that much anger built up in you that you can just like appear and be like, fuck off. And
Right? um, imagine how
imagine,
scary it would be.
yeah, like imagine you're fighting with Justin and he gets so angry and you're like, fuck. You like go in your room and you're like, I'm over this shit. And he like appears.
Yeah. He's like, you suck.
That's so, I'd be so angry if I was like married to
Mhm.
someone that can astral project. Get no space around here.
um, where was I? Okay, it's often associated with dreams and forms of meditation. Some claim that it can be induced through hallucinogen. Sorry, I'll have to do this slowly. Hallucinogenic, and
Hallucinogenic. The
I don't.
H, right?
Oh yeah, hallucinogen. Yeah,
You got this. You did it.
yeah. There
It's
you go.
done.
Thank you. And hypnotic, including like self-induced hypnose. Some say that they can visit real people and places in real time and see what they're actually doing. And some say that they can visit different times and or places and even other dimensions. Yeah. Officially, there's no non-scientific evidence for astral projection, although there are cases of patients having um, suggestive astral projection from brain stimulation treatment and drugs such as ketamine, phencyclidine, and DMT. Oh, DMT would be another good episode to do one day, because I know
Yeah.
nothing about it, but apparently it's wild.
Yeah, I've heard.
Okay, so that's kind of like a quick overview of astral projection. Now, remote viewing is kind of similar. It's it's just another term for similar concepts, um, but it's also different in some sense.
If remote
So
viewing sounds like a oh my god, like an online viewing of a funeral. You know when they like call funerals viewings, and remote just makes it sound like work from home funeral.
I'm just gonna zoom in if you don't mind.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's something to laugh about, but that's just what comes to mind for me.
A bit too soon after the pandemic. All right. So remote viewing is the practice of seeking impression about a distance or unseen object by sensing it with your mind. So typically, the remote viewer is expected to give information about an object, an event, or person, or even a location that is hidden physically from them and separated in distance. So I'm sitting here and you're asking me what's in. Okay, well, I don't even need to find a different example. You're in Vancouver, I'm in Montreal, and you're asking me what's hiding behind your closet door. And I'm able to like project myself in your closet to see what's in there,
Wild.
right? Um, it's similar to clairvoyance, but the difference is that clairvoyance, it's more like the answer comes to you, versus remote viewing, it's more like you project yourself there to be able to see with your eyes and find out the answer that way,
Mhm.
right? Um, although distance is not necessary, it could also be in the same room, but a closed envelope or a locked suitcase. What's in the locked suitcase? I can project myself in the suitcase to kind of see,
Mhm.
right? It's much less linked to religious practice, and more in the realm of like the occult and spiritualism, in like ESP, extrasensorial perceptions, or what is it? I wrote down somewhere ESP. ESP stands for
Yeah, I've never heard of ESP before.
extrasensory perception. Yeah. So like clairvoyance and stuff like that, and telekinesis. So it's much less stigmatized by science in a way than astral projection, because astral projection is more like mythical and what's the term I used the other day? Like woo woo. um, there's also been much more scientific, for that reason, there's been much more scientific interest into remote viewing. Um, a lot of studies have been conducted, and early experiments were able to produce positive results, but it's hard to recreate those experiments and to have consistent results. And the lack of success in the experiments to have consistent results, and the lack of a scientific understanding for why we would be able to do that in the first place, kind of like um, meant that science eventually just got bored of it.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where the CIA comes
Uh, uh, uh.
in. All right. So I have a bit of a timeline of events before we go into the gateway process itself. So hang in there. I'll try to make it as clear as possible. So it all starts with a man named Robert Monroe. Monroe. Um, in about the 50s, 1950s, Monroe was a radio broadcast executive, and he began producing evidence that specific sound patterns had effects on human capacities. So, for example, like specific sounds would cause sleepiness. Specific sound could cause like altered state, like trance, and other ones would expand the state of consciousness. So he's really interested in that. And in 1956, he forms a research and development division to his radio production. The goal is to study sound effects on the human consciousness, and he's specifically obsessed with sleep learning, or like hypnopedia, it's called, which is, when like your people in university would do that sometimes, that they record themselves reading their notes and then they play it back to themselves when they're sleeping
I
to
don't
better
know that. I
recall.
didn't know people did that.
Oh my god, it was super popular in my university. Everyone was doing that.
No way.
Yeah.
To try
Meanwhile,
like
it's like, you guys
hypnotize
took
yourself.
notes.
That's so weird. I feel like it probably doesn't work, but the fact that you're taking notes and then reading themselves to you and recording it, you're
That
probably
helps probably.
understanding it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, but it's a very popular practice. Um, so then, while experimenting with sleep learning in 1958, he discovered a unusual phenomenon. He described it as a sensation of paralysis and vibration accompanied by a bright light. He said it happened about 9 times over the last 6 weeks, and it ended by causing him a out of body experience.
What?
hmm Just by like experimenting with the sounds and stuff like that. So then he feels like he's onto something. In 1962, he moves the business to Virginia and renames it Monroe Industries. So on one side of the business, they keep acquiring like radio station ownership, cable television, and they produce and sell audio cassette tapes. And these audio cassette tapes contained the applied learning from the research and development program, which has now been renamed the Monroe Institute. So they start selling cassettes for um, uh, sleep learning a lot, but also he starts getting really interested in those out of body experience thing. So he publishes a book called Journeys Out of the Body in 1971. And the book is credited with popularizing the term out of body experience. So he's getting really into that. Meanwhile, the US government in 1972 started getting classified reports of like intelligence reports that claim that the Soviet Union is pouring a lot of money into research involving ESP, extrasensorial perception, and psychokinesis and clairvoyance for espionage purposes. Now, in 1975, if we're back to Monroe, he registered the first of several patents concerning audio technique designed to stimulate brain functions. So, what it does is that it stimulates your brain in a way that your left hemisphere and right hemisphere kind of like sync up and become in sync. So, he calls that the hemisync state, and claims that it could promote many things like mental well-being, but also trigger altered state of consciousness. So this then becomes tangible technology that can create altered state of consciousness. And it comes at a time where the U.S. government is freaked out by the rumors of the Soviet Union doing ESP, and they want in on the game, right? So in 1978, the US military evaluates the Monroe Institute and arranged to send officers there for out of body experience training. So, for a while, the Monroe Institute is training these officers. And then this, um, there's a few reports that come out, this one guy in particular, from 1978 to 1984. Army veteran Joseph McMonigal said he contributed to, well, not he said, it said that he contributed to 450 remote viewing missions, like official missions, under Project Stargate. So, are you following so far? Okay, cool. So, he was trained at the Monroe Institute in remote viewing. Now, um, Project Stargate is a whole other CIA project that deserves its own episode, also. It's a whole thing. but it was basically focused on remote viewing for espionage purposes.
Okay, so
Um,
this is like they're training these officers, but like Project Stargate, just they're training officers for espionage, while this is they're just training officers for remote
so
viewing.
right, so now the CIA kind of went to learn the technique and the tech from the Monroe Institute, and now they're kind of doing their own thing with it,
Okay.
right? And so this guy's going like on missions of remote viewing to do some espionage. Um, and then in 1983, the CIA report analysis and assessment of the gateway process is produced, and that's the report we're going to talk about some more. What it does is it provides a scientific framework for understanding and expanding human consciousness, out of body experience, and altered state of mind. Um, so we're going to jump into that in just a moment, but they continue to, after doing this report, work a lot with remote viewing. They don't really call it astral projection much, mostly because of the stigma. But we have remote viewer Angela De La Fiora Ford. Sorry, Angela De La Fiora Ford, who helps to track down a former customs agent who's gone on the run, and she's able to pinpoint his location as Lowell, Wyoming, and then eventually U.S. Customs capture him 100 miles west of Wyoming in a town called Lowell. So she was able to find him with
Wild.
that, right? So they're training them, they're studying the process, and they're taking it seriously enough to like put it in practice,
Yeah, that's insane. So it
right?
worked.
So it worked, yeah, at least in a few cases.
Do we know what the training consists of?
Yes, it's
Ooh,
all declassified,
amazing.
but it is very complicated. So again, I'm gonna do the best I can with explaining it to you. Not gonna go in many details because it's very complicated, and I'm not a physicist.
You're not?
Physicist?
Yeah,
Yeah,
physicist.
not. I'm always confused physicist and physician.
Yeah, physician's a doctor,
Yeah,
right?
sorry.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't understand most of it, but I was able to like get the basics a little bit. So the gateway process is what they call the process of like going into that state of altered consciousness and basically astral projection, like triggering it. So the author of the declassified reports is I don't I know how to pronounce this word until I see it written. And when I see it written, I fully forget how to pronounce it in English. How do you pronounce this?
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant, thank you.
Wow,
Lieutenant,
I got that one. I was so nervous. I was like, why are you asking me?
because it's spelled the same way in French, but it's pronounced completely different in
How
French.
would you pronounce it in French?
Lieutenant,
Oh, yeah, totally different. Yeah,
and I believe it's a French word also.
yeah, we butcher everything.
So, Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell, um, he's the author of these reports that has been declassified. So, in 1983, he's charged by the commander of the U.S. Army Operational Group with figuring out the how the gateway experience, astral projection, and out of body experience work. So he partners with a bunch of scientists and researchers, most famous of which is Itzhak Bentov, an American Israeli scientist who helped pioneer biomedical engineering. Um, Wayne was very focused on using a strict and objective scientific approach because he really wanted to get rid of the stigma of like the mystic and spiritual, right? So he looked into many different scientific avenues, most of which sound super sci-fi to me. But he looked into biomedical inquiries to understand the physical aspect of the process, information on quantum mechanics to describe the nature and functioning of human consciousness,
Mhm.
theoretical physics to explain the time space dimension and means by which expanding the human consciousness transcends it, and classical physics to bring the whole phenomenon of out of body state into a language that physical science can understand. So I won't go too much in detail into his scientific method because there's a lot of breakdown, but it sounded pretty smart. um, with all that in place and all those scientists helping him, he goes into defying the gateway process. So he classifies the process as a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwaves output between the left and the right hemisphere, so to alter consciousness.
Wild.
Right. Does that mean anything to you?
Well, like I feel like he messes with your brain to make it work differently. That's how I'm understanding it.
Pretty much. It is, however, a pretty gentle process from what I understood. Like it is very, very heavily based into the work that was done by Monroe, that he called hemisync, like syncing up the hemisphere of your brains, right? So it's a state of consciousness that is achieved by equalizing the amplitude and frequency of electricity in the brain patterns of both the left and right hemisphere of your brain. So the idea of to like equalize and sync them up, the vibration of both. Um, Today, you might have heard of it. It's actually a technology that's more commonly known as binaural beats today, or binaural music. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I don't think so.
It's big in the meditation scene and the I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, holistic scene.
Okay.
Basically, there's a lot. You can find plenty of playlists on YouTube. I listen to some sometimes. What it does, it's in each ear you have different sounds at different frequencies that play,
Mhm.
and the idea is that when your brain hears a frequency, it will try to mimic it. And so by playing those sounds at different frequencies in the different ears, like both sides of your brain will try to mimic it and eventually fall into sync.
Wild. Okay.
So that's the idea of it. Um, and then falling to sync in that way should place you in a state of altered consciousness and of like deep. I don't want to say meditation because you're not. You should be able to remain sort of
Conscious.
conscious,
Okay.
but able to expand your consciousness outside of your body.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, this is something that
Kind of like
some
hypnosis
a little
ish.
bit, yeah, a little bit, is very closely linked. It's the same kind of like process of the brain, but you have more. It's less about such a subjective ability.
Mm-hmm.
Hypnosis is making your brain subjective. Here, it's more about being able to push your consciousness beyond your body. So, there's something that a lot of people can do just with meditation and transcendental meditation. But the difference by using hemisync or the binaural beats is that it allows you to focus your consciousness way easier on a specific target with way more accuracy. So without it, you're more like left wandering in the cosmos, and it's like harder to reach a specific target. But then when you apply this process, all of a sudden it's much, much more focused, and it's also easier to reach that state of meditation. You don't have to like concentrate and meditate and be a pro meditator and like do it for hours kind of thing. So it's much more accessible also. And finally, because you don't have to like really concentrate and meditate, theoretically you're able to reach that state and still interact with the environment physically around you. So communicate with, for example, a researcher who's asking you about what you're seeing, and who can ask you to go to specific points in time and space, right? So that's very, very shallow explanation of the gateway process, because it's much more complex than that. Like, for example, you also need to lower your blood pressure. Um, there's something to do with the vibration of your own heartbeat resonating through your spine. You apparently sync up your body's vibration to the natural vibration of the earth. And then the sound wave you output will match the electrostatic field of the earth. And
Wild.
yeah. And then your body, mind, and earth, and anything else with that are similarly tuned, sort of that get like tangled in a single energy continuum. So like
Wild.
it's very, but it's detailed very, very, very quote unquote scientifically in the
Yeah.
in the papers, right? Um, and it's funny because you hear about these concepts a lot in like those like esoteric like self-help books and stuff like that. It's just like, oh, you just have to like match your frequencies to the frequency of like the trees and stuff like that, right?
Like
And that's
grounded
kind of
and
what it is.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of what it is. Yeah. And like, oh, try to resonate at a higher frequency, like if you rise above and stuff like that, kind of thing. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
So in theory, once you've reached um, that specific frequency that resonates with everything else, if you're able to hold that frequency of consciousness, then your consciousness can transcend space time. Now, the gateway experience is designed for humans to be able to achieve this state easier and to be able to hold it, and establish awareness of newly realized dimensions. So then the report goes into step-by-step instruction on how to achieve this. Um, it's kind of a whole training, so I won't get into it today.
You're not going to
But
train
it's
us?
no, because it's long, and it's a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's also very accessible. You can buy the training tapes to do it at home, from the Monroe Institute on Amazon.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll put the link in the show notes. Promo
Should
code
we buy
stupid.
it? Should we buy it? We'll do it on our Patreon. I'm
I
kidding.
kind of want to be honest. It's like
Yeah.
$100, I think, or something like that.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so yeah, if you're curious, like people, you can go look up the those tapes, and the tapes are they're training tapes. They say that you'll be able to reach those things after training. Um, but also, the CIA documents are declassified and they're accessible to everyone. Yeah. Um, in fact, they're like the first Google search you'll get if you type like gateway process CIA.
Wow.
Yeah. I went through them, but I'm like, this is gibberish to me.
That's so
Um,
wild.
yeah. So, other than scientific explanation for the gateway process itself and for instructions on how to achieve it, the report is pretty groundbreaking because it also details and explains, um, on a theoretical physics level, like basically spirituality. Like it explains in great scientific details how we're all connected, how everything of the in the universe is like part of a whole, how time is not linear, how the future, the past, and the present are point in space rather than in time. It explains other dimensions, higher consciousness, and like consciousness separated from the body, which also like are stuff that you expect to find like I don't know in religious texts and in self help book and self help book, but this is like a well, previously highly classified, but very official government document
Yeah.
and research conducted by some very serious scientists
Oh my
in
god.
in a in a field where these things are usually really laughed at and looked down at. So they had to be extra careful to not come across as lunatics,
Mhm.
right? So, um, however, it's just you and I are way too stupid to dive into any deeper details of all this. But I'm not done yet. So, like I said, for our smart listeners who wants to find out, um, most of my information is from two articles on Vice on the subject, which I'll link into the show notes, and it's going to be on our website as well. Um, and then the full report again is available also. But I have a little something more fun to propose for the rest of the episode. I'm sending you a link.
Oh no, it's a test, isn't it?
And it's not a test.
Okay, thank God. Mars exploration?
Yeah. Okay. So the link I sent you is another declassified CIA document from 1984. So a year after the research started on the Gateway process. Um, and it details basically an experiment with a monitor and a subject doing astral projection. Do you want to read it together?
Okay.
Do you want to be so it says mon and sub? Do you want to do the monitor and I'll do the subject?
Sure.
Okay. So just to put everyone in context, there's sorry, my throat is so dry. Give me a quick sip of gin. That should do the trick. All right. So to put everyone in context, it says that um, the subject has a sealed envelope with geographic coordinates on the envelope. In the envelope, sorry. So in the sealed envelope that the subject can't see, it says the planet Mars, time of interest approximately 1 million years before Christ. And then after, you'll see that when it's in parentheses, it says a bunch of information. That's basically when they start the experiment and how long it takes to put the subject into trance.
Mhm.
So on the third page, do you want to start the first monitor after the parenthesis?
Yeah, and this is like for everyone's. It's May 22nd, 1984.
Mhm.
Um,
At 10 a.m., 10:09 a.m.
Perfect. So I'll start. All right, now using the information in the envelope I've provided, exclusively focusing your attention now, using the information in the envelope, focus on 40.89 degrees north and 9.55 degrees west.
I want to say it looks like, I don't know, it sort of looks, I kind of get an oblique view of a pyramid or pyramid form. It's very high. It's kind of sitting in a large depressed area.
All right.
It's yellowish, like ochre colored.
All right. Move in time to the time indicated in the envelope I've provided you and describe what's happening.
I'm tracking severe clouds, more like dust storm. It's a geological problem. It seems to be like, just a minute, I've got to iron this out. It's really weird.
Just report your raw perception at this time. You're still early in the session.
I'm looking at after effect of a major like geologic problem.
Okay, go back to the time before the geologic problem.
Um, Total difference. It's before there's no, I don't know. Oh hell, it's like mountains of dirt appeared and disappeared when you go before. See a large flat surface, very smooth angle, walls. They're really large though. I mean, they're megalithic.
All right, at this period in time now, before the geological activity, look around in and around this area and see if you can find any activity.
I'm seeing it's like a perception of a shadow of people. Very tall, very thin. It's only a shadow, as if they were there and they're not there anymore.
Go back to a period of time where they are there.
It's like I get a lot of static on the line and everything, it's breaking up all the time. Very fragmentary pieces.
Just report the raw data. Don't try to put things together. Just report the raw data.
I just keep seeing very large people. They appear thin and tall, but they're very large and wearing some kind of strange clothes.
All right, now holding in this time period, I want to move from your physical location in space to another physical location, but in this time period. Move now to 46, 46.4045 north, 353.22 east. Move into this time 46.45 north, 453.22 east.
Deep inside the cavern? Not a cavern, more like a canyon. Uh, I'm looking up the sides of a steep wall that seems to go on forever. There's like a structure with it's like a wall canyon or something carved. Again, I'm getting a very large structure. No intricacies, huge section, smooth stone.
Do the structures have insides and outsides?
Yes, they're very. It's like a rabbit warren, corners of room. They're like really huge. I don't feel like I'm standing in one of them. It's just really huge. Perception is that the ceiling's very high, wall very wide.
So real time plus 22 minutes? Yes, that would be correct. All right, I'd like to move on now to another location nearby. All right, move from this point in this time to 45.86 north and 354.1 east. 45.86 north and 354.1 east.
They have a appears to be the end of a very large road. There's a marker thing that's very large. Keeps getting Washington Monument overlay. It's like the obelisk.
All right, from this point, then, let's move on to another point. Move now to 35.26 north and 213.24 east. Move in this time to 35.26 north and 213.24 east.
It's like I'm in the middle of a huge circular basin, a range of mountains by almost like all the way around. Very ragged mountains, very tall. Basin, very, very large. Scale seems to be off or something. It's just really big. Everything's big.
I understand the problem. Just continue.
See, just the right angle corner to something, but that's all. I don't see anything else.
Okay, then let's move into a different place. Very close. Move from the point you are now in this place in time to 34.6 north, 213.09 east. Move in this time to 34.6 north and 213.09 east.
The cluster of squares up and down, it's like you want to make them square anyway. They're almost flush with the ground. It's like they're connected. Something very white reflects light.
What's your position of observation as you look at this thing that reflects light?
I'm amid oblique left angle. Sun is weird.
Look back down at the ground now, and we're going to move just a little bit from this place. Just a little bit from this place. 34.57 north and 212.22 east. Very close by. Now move over to 34.57 north and 212.22 east.
It's like I can just perceive radiating pattern of some kind. It's like a really strange intersecting kind of road that are dug into valley. The road is just like little below the edge.
Tell me about the shapes of these things.
They're all like neat channel cuts, like very deep. It's like the road went down.
Okay, now I have. I notice electrically you're nulled out a little bit, and I want you to stay deep and recapture your focus here.
It's really tough. It seems like there's just always very sporadic.
I realize that. It's very important that you maintain your focus. I have a movement exercise again for you, and this is very considerable distance away. So holding the focus in time, remember the focus in time that you had before and moving now to 15 degrees north and 198 degrees east. Take some time and get back deep.
See, intersecting whatever are aqueduct type, rounded carved channel like roadbeds. See pointed tops of something on the horizon. Even the horizon looks funny and weird. It's like misty, like really far away, very vague.
Okay, another movement now to 80 degrees south, and 64 degrees east, 64 degrees east. Move now in this time to 80 degrees south and 64 degrees east.
I see pyramids. Can't tell if they overlay or not because they're different.
Okay, do these pyramids have insides and outsides?
They got both. They're huge. It's really interesting perception I'm getting.
So
Now the
in
monitor, there's a note here that I'll just read out. The monitor wrote a note. I think that he's losing his ability to move accurately, but he's attracted to things that are interesting. So we're going to go with his own. We're going to let him go ahead and explore what seems to be interesting rather than move him to targets indicated here. It's filtered from storm or something.
Say that again, sub.
They're like shelters from storms.
These structures that you're seeing?
Yes, they're designed for that. They're shelters.
All right, go inside one of these and find some activity to tell me about.
And then like there's 37 minutes of real time that pass by. Different chambers, but they're almost stripped of any kind of furnishing or anything. It's like strictly functional place for sleeping. No, that's not the word. It's like hibernation, some form of. I can't get real raw inputs. The storm, savage storm, and sleeping through the storm.
Tell me about the ones who are sleeping through the storms.
Very tall again, very large people, but they're thin. They look thin because their height and they're dressed like, oh, it's like really light silk, but not flowing type of clothing. It's like cut to fit.
Move close to one of them and ask them to tell you about themselves.
They're ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age.
Tell me about this.
They're very philosophic about it. They're looking for a way to survive, but they just can't. And now there's like 40 minutes that passes by. Can't seem to get their way out. They can't seem to find their way out. So they're hanging on while they look or they wait for something to return or something coming with an answer.
What is it they're waiting for?
There evidently was a group or a party of them that went to find a new place to live. It's like I'm getting all kinds of overwhelming inputs of corruption of their environment. It's failing very rapidly, and this group went somewhere like a long way to find another place to live.
What was the cause of the atmospheric disturbance or the environmental disturbance?
I see a picture of oh, it's almost warp. Oh god, this is difficult. It's like going let's see.
The raw data.
Oh, I get a globe that goes through a comet tail or something, through a river. It's very cosmic, like space pictures.
All right, now, before you leave this individual, ask him if there is any way that you ask him if he knows who you are, and is there any way that you can help him in in his present predicament?
Um, all I get is that they must just wait. Doesn't know who I am. Think he perceives I'm a hallucination or something.
Okay, when the others left, these people are waiting. When the others left, how did they go?
I get impression of I don't know what the hell it is. It looks like inside of a larger boat. Very rounded walls, very shiny metal.
Go along with them on their journey and find out where it is they go.
Impression of a really crazy place with volcano and gas pockets. Strange planet, very volatile place. Very much like going from a frying pan to the fire. Difference is there seems to be a lot of vegetation. The other place did not have it. Kind of a different storm.
All right, it's time to come back now to the sound of my voice. Into present time, to right now, now the 22nd of May 1984, the sound of my voice. Move now back to the room, back to the sound of my voice, back further now to the sound of my voice on the 22nd of May 1984.
And that's the end of the interview and the end of the document. And there's just a note that says how to read the document, but that's it for that document.
That is insane. I'm blown away. This
Right?
man was on Mars
Right? In
and
the
he met
past.
aliens.
I know. And they
Oh
were
my God.
dying.
Oh my God.
When I read it the first time, I had shivers.
Yeah, that was wild. I have so many questions.
And then the planet where they went, remember, he said, like, I think like 10,000 years of before Christ or something like that. So they're going to another planet, very volatile, a lot of volcanoes, like the formation of the Earth, maybe,
That is so wild. And they're just waiting for them to come back.
to report back if they found a place to live.
Yeah. Oh, that is so crazy. I wonder if they did
It's
more
so,
of
so crazy.
these.
Right?
That's
Like, what?
insane.
And, like, that's the thing. Like, okay, so these documents were declassified, but, like, okay, but what else? Like, they must have continued these research, pushed them further.
That's so interesting. And then the way he'd be like, okay, now move this time, and he'd repeat everything he said, I found very
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
And how he monitors his, like, electromagnetic activity in his brain.
yeah. And then at the
And
end,
he's
he's just
like,
like, you know what? I think like he's kind of exploring on his own, so we're just gonna let him.
yeah.
Wild. That's so crazy.
Isn't it crazy? Good job, by the way, with the staying in it while you were reading, because
I
I
was
was
like
reading
trying
that.
to freak out, but I was like, no,
Yeah.
keep reading.
Yeah.
That was really good.
So that's the gateway process.
That's so interesting. I would love to like find out more in the future, maybe do a like another episode then on like
I think I might look into Stargate. So
mhm.
I don't know. I'm not ready to commit to it yet. So I don't know if this is going to be a series for in 2 weeks from now, but it might be. I might do a little CIA declassify miniseries.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even just more on like this Mars exploration and like what is the data that we found.
Right.
So crazy. There's people on
Yeah.
Mars, guys.
No, there were.
Yeah,
This
true.
was a long time in the past. They died out
Yeah,
because of huge sandstorms or whatever.
and they're very tall and very thin.
Yeah. Must be nice. And like how he was talking to this being, and they were like, "Does he know who you are?" He's like, "No, I think he just thinks he's hallucinating."
Yeah, that's so crazy.
And they were just going in hibernation to wait out the storms and like pyramid shaped stuff.
It's giving me Dune. Have you
Oh
watched Dune? Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
That, oh my God. This is so
So
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for presenting that to us today.
You're very welcome. I hope that you enjoyed it.
I'm going to go
And
astral project for a bit now.
oh my god, I'm for sure gonna try. I actually know someone who can do it.
We have to
Yeah,
have them on.
we'll see if they want to.
Yeah. Hopefully they
Um,
do.
but yeah, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening, everyone. Next week, Sanya's gonna present something even wilder. Just putting some pressure on you.
I don't know my
She's gonna talk about crackers.
You know me.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I hope you have a good rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.
Tell Me Like I'm Stupid is created and produced by us, Sonia and Thomas. You can follow us on Instagram at Tell Me Like I'm Stupid.
If you'd like to support us, please subscribe and review on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Our cover art was created by Ish. Find him on Instagram at h.e.e.s.h.
Thank you for listening.